What's up everybody, it's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video back in Planet Coaster, and welcome to part number 25. And in this episode, to start off, we start here with this new section. So this is kind of a new section over here where there's going to be a lot of main buildings over here and stuff like that, and this is going to be the entrance of the new roller coaster. Yeah, that's right, the new roller coaster, which is going to be an inverted coaster, not the usual 4x4 or the four seats to a row inverted coaster. It's going to be the 2-seater. Just because I wanted kind of something different that wasn't too resembled to B&M, and but it will work out very cool. So this is going to be a main street kind of, with a lot of cool shops and buildings and stuff. There's going to be more added on to it in the end, but for right now, this is what you're going to get. Some Cosmic Cow, some Chief Beef, some restrooms, and some generic buildings that will be in there as well. So I wanted to make sure that it looked cool and shiny and stuff like that. This theming is going to be very strange a little bit over here. It's going to be a little different from all the rest of the park. It still goes with it. It's going to pretty much still go with the theme in a way, but I don't even think I know the final theme yet on this this area with the new ride. It's going to be a very interesting and new type theme to it. So this is of course, this Cosmic Cow is a little bit of a futuristic type thing that doesn't really go with the theming of the rest of the park, but it will hopefully make sense in the end. So this episode was a very long filming. I think I spent almost an hour and a half filming this episode. Usually I only film about 50 minutes, but it's only because I did end up cutting a lot out of this episode, because a lot of it was just placing fences all the way around where the body of water is. It was a long, tedious process, but it had to be done. So I decided to cut that footage because it's just a long footage of me just placing a fence around all the way the body of water, and I didn't really want that, so I decided to cut it out, and and you know, just because. So in this episode, we do actually build the roller coaster and get the layout done and stuff like that, and part of pretty much get the station done as well. So we do get a lot of accomplished in this episode in the long run, because it's I did spend nearly an hour and a half on this episode. So that is why it's going to be just a slight. That's why there's a lot going to be done. That's why there's a lot going to be done in this episode, is because of that reason right there. So we got some bathrooms over here, some doodads, and there's going to be buildings all the way down the street. So there's always going to be people I want there to be people in this area. I was debating of whether to possibly adding another flat ride in this area, which might actually happen, but we'll figure that out possibly in the next episode. But I haven't recorded anything, or haven't recorded any episodes in the future behind this episode. I'm actually going to be doing that tomorrow, which not during this recording, because by the time this is out, that would be like probably yesterday or something. But anyways, this is where the cut is for the fences, and it magically becomes done with magically out of nowhere. See, boom. And there's a little bit of rock work I do over here, and I use them kind of as a fence as well for the dive coaster, kind of the perimeter fence for the coaster over here, and I thought it worked pretty well. And for theming wise, it works for some cool theming when you have nothing but rocks as your perimeter fence. So it looks kind of cool, and I was very happy the way it turned out. It's kind of a cool, neat little area over there with all the rocks and props and stuff over there for that little stall. And of course I did get a little bit close here to call with this. I might actually have to add a little bit more to the top of that rock just because it's a little too low for the perimeter of the dive coaster at that point. But overall, very cool, and I'm just trying to get stuff done, and because I want to get this park finished and very soon. Now, adding this 5th coaster was not actually the intentional, or actually the plan. I was actually planning to just have the 4 and maybe leave this area open for maybe future expansions, but everyone requested another or an inverted coaster, so I did decide to add this coaster. Now, this coaster is not going to be anything special by no means. It's going to be closer to possibly a family-ish type coaster. I've already got 3 of the 4 coasters that were already there went upside down, so it was a very tough decision if I was going to actually make this one go upside down or not, or have any inversions, and I decided to leave this inverted coaster with no inversions, and it's going to be kind of like a family coaster type thing, because there's already some pretty intense rides in this park. Yeah, I know we do have the Aero coaster, which is kind of a mild coaster, but besides that, all the other ones had inversions. The only one that didn't have an inversion is this giant hyper coaster. So I thought a nice small inverted coaster with no inversions would serve the park kind of well as a good fit. So it's going to be more of a family coaster. It was a tight fit actually to fit it in this spot, to say the least, because I had to fit, or actually maneuver it around the hyper coaster itself, because I used up so much of this to create an actual new area for itself. But it does turn out pretty cool in the long run, and it's going to be kind of a it's going to be more for speed wise than anything. It's actually does not end up being super tall or anything, and I wanted to try something new with the station here and have some different kind of building work, and I will try and come up with a theme that fits here that's still within the pirate theme kind, or sort of, and this is going to be kind of a new or different area for that purpose. So it's going to be it is kind of a unique area for this type of this park. So but we're just going to go with it and see where it takes us in the end. So a lot of errors here with this coaster as well when I do get to the layout. Errors as in I did have a different plan for it, and then it changed kind of into a different plan in the next step. So there is another cut in the video because of that purpose, and it just kind of happened, and this episode was very hard to film because I did have a lot of mistakes that needed to be changed and stuff like that. So again, I do apologize for that, but hey, at least I'm cutting all the unnecessary stuff that doesn't need to be in it. I thought it was kind of a cool, unique type of station, but and then I was like, well, I need to make a building over here or some sort of attraction to get this area a little bit filled up because it was just too naked over there with that for that area. And a nice large shop is what I'm gonna call it, or this will pretty much be the gift shop, or technically the gift shop of the coaster in a way, but replaced by a little bit of a stall and stuff like that. So that's about all it's gonna be for that. And I didn't really care for how this building ended up coming out. I might actually alter it a little bit in the future because it just turned out too plain, and I didn't really care for it. I was just mainly wanted to get to the layout of the coaster. I think I kind of sped through this part just a little bit too much and left out too many details on this building. But when we get to the detailing episodes, or the final detailing episodes, we will fix all of that kind of stuff, hopefully. And the one thing I was nervous about adding this extra coaster was how much is my computer going to be able to take this. because I want to have a nice cinematic video when I do finish the park. You know, that's just a nice video to complement it. So anyways, I always like to create the brake run before I get started. It helps me it does help quite a bit. So this is actually where the next cut is, because I actually do change it. It ended up being a little shorter than what it did end up being. So when we get to the top here, it is quite a bit of a difference, and I was going to go to the right with the lift, and now I decided to go with the left, because in the last second I kind of changed the layout of how it was going to turn out, and I changed the terrain to sand to try and give me a basic area of it, and I wanted to use the terrain in my benefit here and use it to help me create kind of a cool overbank turn element to start the ride off, where the gets elevated here. So this isn't a very big coaster or a long ride. It's actually a pretty short coaster, and this first wave turn I actually had to scale down and make it a little bit smaller, because it actually did not make it over that first hill, and I had the angles to where I thought it would, but it ended up not actually making it over. But I do fix it and make it a little bit smaller. But thankfully I changed it before I got too far, and it works out in the end. So this overbank turn is probably the most intense part of the ride. The rest of it is very mellow and kind of just for speed, and stays close to the ground. So that's about the biggest part of this ride, is just that overbank turn at the start. And this is me testing the overbank turn to see if it even makes it through, and in the end it actually did not. It actually valleyed out and did not make it over, and as you can see it just stalled, and I was like, ah man, gotta rebuild this and get it right. So I did have to make it slightly smaller, but overall it will be a cool element to have. Again, this is going to be closer to a family coaster. It's not your traditional family coaster that's, you know, really short. It still has some pretty good heights on it for the first drop and stuff, I think, but it's not going to be something ginormous to where it's big. And like I said, it's not a big coaster. It's nothing special. It's literally just another coaster that, you know, I thought was needed to, you know, appeal, or for the park's, you know, lineup of rides, because there's not really any coasters that are mellow enough for, you know, the young child and stuff like that. We need to make sure families can have a good time in the park, and I think realistically in my parks as much as I can to make sure that it's as realistic as possible. And I've always been about realism in my parks, and that's just how I am. You know, I like to create some of my dream stuff, but make it real enough to make it believable, and like this park could actually exist in the real world. That is my goal with my parks, is to make sure that you could feel like this place is real, and that's what they're all about. I don't like unrealistic, or I just like realism in general, and that's just how I go. And then you got this helix, and then pretty much it's just a finale at the end to get it turned back into the brake section. So again, it's a very short ride, a very small layout, not a big layout, but that's all I was going for. It's not going to be, it wasn't intended to be a real big ride. It was intended to be kind of a smaller ride, and I was eventually thinking about putting a water ride in this spot, but people wanted an extra coaster, and I agreed that I needed this type of coaster to be here. No inversions, just kind of a simple family type of suspended coaster that hopefully the family will enjoy, and that's the part of that I wanted to add in this park. And in the future, when water rides are available, I want to make room for a water ride. I have a spot that I think it might fit, but we're gonna have to see when that gets there. But hopefully water rides aren't too far away in the future. I don't think there'll be an Alpha 3, but maybe possibly an Alpha 4 or 5 release sometime down the road. But you really think about it, this game is supposed to be fully released by this year, by the end of this year. And hopefully that is the case and it doesn't get delayed. But if it does get delayed, it's okay, as long as they're taking the time to make this game great. And that's all I care, because the game is already great. But I've really enjoyed this park, and I hope to come back to it after I do get done with it. And like, I'm gonna update the park, like, you know, like every season or something, like if it gets a new ride and stuff like that. I'm kind of like a theme park company is the way I want to go, is to have kind of like this company in a way that actually, you know, creates parks. And this is the first park that is born from the company. So far, the name of this park is going to be Pirate City, and I don't really care for it, but it might be changing. I wanted to change the color scheme of the Hypercoaster finally. That way the new coaster didn't resemble it too much. And yeah, but that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day and even cooler tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.